shame on blue. Good God, I pulled too hard. Now my scrotum's stretched out like a fucking yard. Oh God, I grew my balls to my butthole again. Oh my God, what did I do? I can't take a dump, 'cause now my balls are blocking up my butthole. My lady doesn't want a life of watching her man use a butter knife. Face down, ass up, try and saw off his sack. Oh baby, fucking please just take me back. I grew my balls to my butthole again. Oh my God.
I'm Dick Van Dyke. You may remember me. I used to fall down a lot on purpose. I don't speak up a lot, but there's something on my mind that I wanted to talk about. You know, our Supreme Court has delayed any decision about a president's immunity, and at the same time they have stalled everything so that Donald Trump's path back to the White House is pretty clear now. And when that happened, both of the cable network stations printed headlines, corrupt. Our Supreme Court is corrupt. And then nothing, silence. Not another word been spoken about it by anybody. They dropped the subject as if they'd been squelched. At the same time, for some reason, our college students, out of the blue, became very concerned about what's happening in the Middle East. I'm beginning to feel a little manipulated somehow.
In 1829, cotton producers started crushing cotton seeds for oil. They sold it as engine lubricant, and some guy said, hey, maybe we could eat the oil. Yeah, let's eat it. In 1911, Crisco, massive flea market, their cottonseed oil. Everyone ate Crisco, oh yeah. Now in 2024, we all eat a 5 ton of oil, corn, canola, soy, sunflower oil. Humans never ate this much linoleic acid. Now our bodies are 5 times as much linoleic acid as is natural. That's a lot of Foot King vegetable. Should we eat engine oil? Maybe, maybe not.
I will listen when you do it.
All right.
I'm gonna need someone to help me. I'm gonna need somebody's hand. I'm gonna need someone to hold me down. I'm gonna need someone to care. I'm gonna rise and shake my body. I start pulling out my hair. I'm gonna carve myself with the ashes of you, and nobody's gonna give a damn. Son of a bitch, give me the drink. I'm gonna die. What's happening to me? Son of a bitch, I can't get clean. I'm gonna drink my life away. Whoa, 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 whoa. Now for 17 years I've been throwing them back. 17 My heart was aching, hands are shaking, bugs are crawling all over me. My heart was aching, hands are shaking, bugs are crawling all over me. Son of a bitch, give me a drink. I'm on a night, what's happening to me? Son of a bitch, I can't keep clean. I'm gonna drink my night.
This mighty demonstration features the newly amassed manpower of America's military. America at war.
What did he say?
President Trump is on hand. And there's Genocide Joe.
Where do they come up with this stuff?
The Czech Republic float symbolizes our United Nations allies. The Christian dignitaries in attendance to show support for the Israeli Jewish state. Israel's president beams with excitement after the United States billions of dollars sent to foreign aid failed to end the wars abroad. The draft of 2024 has bolstered the mighty army ready to fight all around the world. Motion pictures rally for the war effort. And we see British sailors and another distinguished personality, Ukraine's President Zelensky. The nurses march to show their strength to fight the newly announced pandemic. Mass displays of the military might prevail. The tanks tell the story of modern war and mechanized power. The clap of soldier feet, the sway of soldier ranks, making a picture that simply shouts an epic. America mobilized once again for the forever wars. America at war.
We should probably vote for Kennedy. Yeah, no shit, Stan.
This is the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. Repeat, this is not a test. This is our advice for the following steps. If exposed, remove from the boat.
Podcast for the curious mind. I don't know what that means.
Broadcasting live from a Chinese-made microphone deep within the valley of the Buffalo. I am Cussing with Hussing, here with Go Big Red himself, Christopher May.
Don't give up my government secrets.
It's too late. It's too late. You pull that crap in my background, and they're gonna know you're gonna know your social security number, everything.
Oh God.
Yes, it's all right. It's all right. He's broke. He can't do anything right now. Anyway, so.
Come get it.
Yes. Happy Sunday evening to everybody. We're trying a new time for the show, so we thank everyone who's joining us, all 6 of you out there.
Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our loins.
Sunshine Bondsetter's in the comments, so feel free to give her crap because she can't be here. She's just out there supporting her family. It's a horrible thing.
What a waste of time.
Just gonna leave. We've got a cure for that, actually, Sunshine. So you don't have to worry about that later on in the show. May, did you watch the Spike Cohen interview or listen to it?
A little bit. I didn't finish all the way through it. No.
Oh man,
Drop the ball. I know.
You're missing some gold stuff. Gold stuff in the second half of that interview, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it. Let me catch you up. We teased about talismans.
Yes, we did.
Are we ready to go down into the world of the esoteric and discuss magic?
I've got my shoes on, my backpack ready.
All right. Well, first of all, I'm going to have a little company meeting before we start this. Am I playing too many clips before we get into the juicy part, or should I bring it down? Or, I sort of want to.
You mean at the beginning or what?
Yeah, at the very beginning, right? Yeah, before we do the intro.
I don't think so. I think it kind of gets you in. All those were good. 2 good songs, 2 good clips. The South Park, I hadn't seen that. I like that. I mean, it
Good
was
one. Yep.
yeah.
I mean, glued my balls is probably one of my favorite ways
yeah.
to like get going, like
Yeah.
get the pump. Yeah,
I love
that's
turning
great.
that song up on at a red light with the windows down. Just turn it up really loud. You know, everyone just kind of looks at you like, "What's that guy listening to?"
Yes, it feels like you're like in the 1960s. Is it like a legit? Do you know anything about that song?
No, I don't. I
All
just
right, we'll have to do some research on it because I don't know either. But yeah, I love that one. We got a new comment here. Anti-war party. Wings, beer, and silver. We're going to be talking about silver later on in the show. Have you seen this about the silver squeeze, May?
no.
You heard about the silver squeeze? Oh,
Where's Devin when you need him? Where's your silver at?
Listen, we got a bunch of clips here that I want to get into. But first of all, we got to go down the Talisman Road, right? So just a little refresher from last week. We'll play the clip I left the show with on what is a talisman, and you tell me what you think here.
A talisman, really, and how is one made? Sometimes we find clear.
I was thinking like Harry Potter when I hear the word talisman. Okay?
Instructions on how talismans are made, what techniques to use for what, etc. A talisman can technically be any object. You're probably thinking about some kind of necklace with a locker or something.
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings counts as a talisman.
Yeah.
One
of the viewers brought up the dollar. Wasn't that talisman?
AK? Yeah. AK brought up the dollar. Yeah. And I just wanted to get the definition of what talisman was, right? Because you hear a lot of these terms, but some of these are legitimate terms that were written thousands of years ago. And people, they were passed in sacred books from one generation to the other.
Definitely be one form of talisman, but a talisman can also be just a piece of paper. It can be a bronze bowl, as we will see, and it can also be clothes.
So what makes the talisman significant is the writing on. So it can be any object, like Lord of the Rings, just a normal golden ring, bro. Without the special writing on it, it's nothing, right?
Correct.
So, yeah. So same thing that this guy's saying, like paper and all this stuff. Now we are talking to Eob right now. He's a curator of rare Ethiopian artifacts. Now, Ethiopia has the oldest form of Christianity today. It is the oldest form of Christianity. In fact, they talk about it in the Bible that one of the apostles discovers this Ethiopian dude that's like already a full believer in Christ and all this stuff. So one of the most ancient, and they have, say what?
Interesting.
Yeah. Yes. And there are some artifacts from, hundreds of years ago that discuss this very subject. Let me pull up. So this person is Eob Darilla. And we're hoping to get him on in July to talk a little bit more in detail. But he had an exhibit in the British Museum. Let's a little clip of it. It's from the BBC. The section of the museum was called Harry Potter: A History of Magic. Now, the reason they named it that was just, to bring in the kids, yeah, exactly.
Every society and every culture, there is the practice of magic or the understanding of the supernatural. Magic is a universal language.
In the Department of African Studies, one curator has made an exciting discovery. It's a text written in Ge'ez, an ancient language of Ethiopia.
If you wish to turn into a lion or transform yourself into a lion, read the above prayer and write it on a silk cloth and tie it around your head. Or if you wish to be a serpent, write this and tie it on your wrist.
So for our audio listeners that can't see what's going on, he's reading from this book, and it's telling you like, hey, if you want to transform into this, animal to hunt down your enemies, write this on a piece of cloth, tie it around your forehead, and boom. You know.
This is a prayer for transformation, or to
And then attached to it is a prayer for transformation. Now, when you hear that, May, I mean, what's going through your head here?
I mean, I would have a list of things: a lion, a bear, serpent. Like you're not feeling it one day, you get picked on by some hyenas. Boom! Hey, I want to be something else. Yes, you can get super creative. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, to turn into a hawk.
Yeah, it's like Moana with the staff.
Yeah,
or the magical fucking hook or whatever.
So now we're talking like you mentioned a movie, right? So is this movie just a story told thousands of years ago that people believed, or is this still just like? Do you think this is just some sort of silly thing that?
No, I think it's a story put to picture to share, turned into a kids movie. I mean, it's like I said, everything seems to go back and has some truth or some meat on the bone. So
all right,
I wouldn't be surprised.
I feel like we've become so secularized that the modern day American can't believe such a thing exists, or that people would believe that you could do such a thing. Are you saying that you believe you could turn yourself into a tiger?
Yeah, shit.
Right?
Yeah, it's
right. I personally don't.
I think it's really cool, but I don't. Yeah, I don't think I can. I don't think I can turn into a tiger if I wanted to.
Now I'm going to play a little bit more of this clip, and this is why I want to interview you.
To change into something else. So if I do try this prayer and I do turn into a lion, I don't have the counter prayer to turn back into a human. So for that reason, I wouldn't read it.
Here is
that's
learned.
The thing. You need the countermeasure, the potion, the antidote.
This is a learned man, who's gone through college. Works at the British Museum at the time this was filmed, and he will not participate in this.
He won't touch it with a 10-foot pole.
He knows how to read it. It's an ancient Ethiopian language. Won't touch it. I want to ask him why. Why won't he touch it?
Well, he said because he doesn't have. He can't.
Yeah,
he wouldn't be able to reverse it.
That's such a logical answer, right?
Like, fuck it, a lion? I can't. Because what is that? Roars and yawns? How do you reverse it?
You'd have to, yeah, right? Yeah, that's a good point. Well, that place in where is it? In India, where it's just full of alligators and it's like some monk sanctuary and they just walk around there just tossing meat and the gators don't mess with them at all. Maybe that's just a bunch of people who took a spell to become gators and now they're just sort of stuck there. So they're like, hey.
They're like, fuck, I guess we play nice, get a free meal. Don't eat one of these motherfuckers.
I'll play a little bit more of this. Are you interested? You want me to keep playing this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I wouldn't read it, no. It's readable, it's straightforward, but yeah.
Doubles down. No way. Not gonna read it.
This spell was found smuggled within the pages of a mysterious book. It's from Gondar in Ethiopia.
Understanding this manuscript is trying to sort of understand the history of magic from an African perspective. So the owner of this manuscript would have been a Doptera, the equivalent of an alchemist. And this particular manuscript...
Now, remember, we talked about alchemy. If you go through our back catalog on your podcast player, on our Phantom Fact Society, go back to the Magic episode and Aleister Crowley episodes, because we talk all about what alchemy means. It's not Skyrim, people. We're not talking about Skyrim alchemy.
Script would have been kept a secret.
By the 15th century, this type of magic had been outlawed by Ethiopia's Christian king. So manuscripts like these are exceptionally rare. But despite its Ethiopian roots, this branch of magic is very similar to an important subject taught at Hogwarts.
This book is defense against the dark arts. So the purpose of this talisman is to protect the client from real or imagined harm.
So you see those pictures there? Those are all talismans. So things you would put on something else to ward off dark magic. This Eob Dorillo. Hopefully we can...
I mean, magic, like, you know, I'm not gonna say I don't like it because I love magic. There, sci-fi had, I can't remember the name, but they had a great magic show, where, like, you know, everyone has the ability, but you know, it's just unleashing it, kind of like the Harry Potter thing. Like all of that would be
Right.
cool. I wake up every day wanting to fucking shoot electricity through my hands, or
Yes.
you know, shapeshift or do something else. That would be fucking wicked awesome. To
Well,
have
don't
some
you think
magic.
it's weird that all these different cultures have similar stories? Like Ethiopians and ancient Christianity is all about like just in that little script, transformation, right? Then you have Native American tribes that speak about their shapeshifters. I forget what they're called. The skinwalkers, right? These and they're always like, witch doctors that are capable of these things. So what is with all these different cultures? The Mayans had this belief, Russians had this belief, Slavs. What is with these cultures that believe Thor's brother Loki could transform into animals?
Yeah.
What?
Yep. What's ours?
Well, I'm just sort of curious. Like, what is how do all these cultures get that?
Because it roamed and it walked before. Like it's not, because you think we grew up talking about like the boogeyman and whatnot and check your closet to like, whatever. But when multiple cultures have the same circle, we'll go back to the circle. I love the circle. There's truth to it. There's got to be. I don't think they just pulled this up just to scare kids to keep them on the straight and narrow. I'm thinking this shit really happened. And it's probably still around today.
Well, it's and if that's the case, there's
got to
be.
Advanced.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like this culture of symbolism, using symbols to protect yourself or to ward off evil spirits or to cause evil spirits. These are, or to control people. All these symbols mean something, and that's why I was, we're going in to the American dollar and the American currency and fiat currency in general. Now, have you ever heard of fiat? Do you know what that means?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of it. Yeah.
All right. So I got a couple videos to explain it because I'm no economist and I have no clue what it meant when I kept seeing this. I'm like, are they talking about a car?
Yeah.
Is our dollar based off the fiat? Is that what it's
the little sub-pack, little car?
It is not. It is not actually, and I'm glad because it was brought up in this video here.
Word fiat in conversation, you might think, ooh, nice little Italian car. Well, when it comes to money, I'm sorry, but nice little Italian cars are not what we're thinking of.
Not a car.
So where does the word fiat come from? Well, back in the day, if you took a dollar and walked into a bank a long time ago, you used to be able to get a certain amount of gold for that dollar because a dollar was worth a certain amount of gold. Of course, if you tried that today in the United States, you'd get laughed out of the bank. And the reason is because a dollar is what's, like most currencies, is what's called a fiat currency or fiat money. So what does that word fiat actually mean? Well, it comes from the Latin, let it be done.
Latin. Everything is Latin. Have you ever looked at the dollar bill?
Yeah.
Full of Latin stuff. And we'll go into all the different Latin sayings. But why Latin? So, did a little digging. And do you know the world's first fiat currency?
No, what was it?
I'll give you a
Beans and
hint.
rice?
They spoke Latin. I'll give you a hint. They spoke Latin. Here, let me play this. Here. This is the very first fiat currency. I'll show you. It's considered the coin that took down the Roman Empire.
For upstairs, 13th floor, Harlan J. Burke. You just showed me the world's first fiat currency.
Yeah, I kind of like to think about that as it being the first fiat currency. So this says SC on the back.
Okay.
And it stands for, in Latin, by decree of the Senate.
Okay.
So basically, they're saying that, yes, this doesn't have the type of value that this coin should have in precious metal, but the Senate says that it is worth this. So by decree.
So it used to be your coin was a little chunk of silver back in Roman times, back in the Pax Romana, when times were good, in the good old day, the golden years, literally the golden years, because they had little, chips of precious metals that made their coin. But after that time passed, they couldn't pump out all that silver because they needed it for other things. And so they ended up making a coin out of less precious metals. And it was stamped by the Senate saying, no, we're good for it. We're good for it, but we're not going to back it off of anything. Yeah, that's the very first. Now, there's a clip here on how it went on. And, this guy makes a claim that it wasn't the barbarians that destroyed Rome, that it was this coin. Now, I feel like this guy may be a little partial, but I'll let you decide what you
Small coin destroyed the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. For centuries, historians and scholars argued that the Roman Empire collapsed because of barbarian invasions. But actually, Rome's inability to defend its borders was merely a symptom of a much larger problem. So picture this. The year is 180 AD.
I mean, I've been seeing a lot of ties here to American culture. It's like, people coming in. We're
$1 not worth it. Yeah.
This isn't that good.
Rome was
circle.
at the height of its economic, political, and military power. To be a Roman citizen was to live in a golden age, known as the Pax Romana. And yet, in the span of just one lifetime, Rome would go from master of the world to being plunged into a crisis that nearly destroyed the empire, and from which it would never fully recover. So, how could such a powerful empire experience such a collapse in a relatively short period of time? And the answer lies in this simple silver coin. Known as the denarius, these coins were originally made of 99% pure silver.
Do you know the weight of pure silver?
I sure don't.
Interesting.
Do you?
It's 144.
And were usually worth around a day's wages for a skilled laborer. But with the rise of the
I just literally watched a video earlier today about it, so don't feel too bad. Like, who would have thought to have
empire, Rome's new rulers ran into a problem. With a limited supply of gold and silver flowing into the empire, how could the latest palace, amphitheater, coliseum, or war be paid for? An emperor's rule usually rested on the ability to provide the people with either bread and circuses or score victories on the battlefield, meaning that these pet projects often took priority over all other economic considerations. The emperors found a way to work around this, however, by lowering the silver content of the denarius and replacing it with cheaper metals. They were then able to mint more coins with the same face value. And with more coins seemingly being created out of thin air, the state could spend more money. And so the value of the denarius steadily declined as one emperor after another debased the currency. By the reign of Marcus Aurelius, the denarius had dropped to less than 80% silver, and just 40 years later it had fallen to 50%. By 270 AD, the denarius was rendered virtually worthless with a silver content of less than 3%. Inflation skyrocketed across the empire, topping a staggering 1,000% in some cases. Rome was
1,000%.
Doesn't that sound familiar? Just
this
rings home way too true.
If you took a picture of when America went off the gold standard completely in 1970, was it 3? They completely go off gold standard. And then you see the decline of the dollar and you compare it to to the Roman one. I wonder how similar it
Very.
is. You know,
I guarantee you they just shadow each other. It's
because I've seen both charts now, but to see them, transparent over each other.
Into a catastrophe known as the crisis of the 3rd century, as its emperors found it nearly impossible to pay for even the most basic functions of government, let alone their personal pet projects. Trade completely collapsed. The army routinely murdered their emperors because of missed payments, while the empire was shattered into 3 pieces as German and Persian invasions went unchecked. Rome's economic and military power would never be fully restored, and in less than 2 centuries, the empire itself would finally come to an end.
The coin that destroyed the Roman Empire.
It makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense.
Now you may ask yourself, this is common historical knowledge, right? Like, how did we not look in history and see when Rome devalued their dollar, their equivalent, and their entire economy collapsed? How do you not draw the link that, hey, maybe if we take our dollar off the gold standard, something similar won't happen? That's where I get back.
They have the same playbook. It's they knew that. I guarantee they knew that. They were like,
well, I think you're right. They did know that. But I think, like, how do you convince the masses to get behind that? Because this happens it happens over a period of time between FDR to Nixon. So it shows that, first of all, it shows that both parties are in on that. So get the party talk out of here. Republicans and Democrats are better, because that's not true. Both of these people willingly went into putting our dollar into a fiat currency. But I think there's, going back to our talisman, I think there's something else behind the dollar. And I found this one video here. Like, symbology is everything, right? Now, if you looked at the old dollar, 1962 is the first greenback printed, right? And it's just a straight up, like, nothing. It just says one on it, right? And then there's a picture of Sam Chase on it, who was Treasury of the time, also owner of Chase Bank. Congratulations to your kids. And he's on the cover of the dollar. And then it goes back to nothing. It goes back to nothing until 1963. Right now, in 1963, it gets a facelift and is exactly as the dollar we see today. Now, you may ask yourself, like, we see quarters change all the time.
Yep.
We see the $5 bill. We hear people talk about the $20 bill. All of our currency has changed over a period of time. But the dollar bill, since 1963, has remained untouched. Right?
Trusty.
So much to the fact that it was brought up, maybe we should change it. And Congress went out of their way to pass a law saying you will not change the design of the $1 bill.
What's the meaning behind that?
What? See what I mean? Like, no, that doesn't raise your ears a little bit. So, I did a little research on the dollar, and we can stop this video at time. But
man, that's crazy, because they don't ever be like, hey. But for the dollar,
right?
For the dollar,
if you know anything about American politics, we love to throw out the old and bring in the new.
Yes.
I mean, the biggest thing we're millennials, and the biggest thing with currency in our lifetime was the quarters being changed to states.
Oh yeah, remember collecting all of them?
Yeah, yeah, you can collect all of them. That was the biggest deal with our currency in our lifetime. But the dollar bill, since 1963, oddly enough, the same year Kennedy was assassinated, has not changed and will never change as long as the federal government has a say.
33rd degree Freemason Franklin D. Roosevelt added the Great Seal to the U.S.
Franklin D. Roosevelt. Pay
US
attention.
dollar.
We all know.
Transforming it into an occult talisman. The same year, he signed a gold confiscation order and took the U.S. off the gold standard.
Should I play that again? Go play it again.
In 1933, 33rd degree Freemason Franklin D. Roosevelt added the Great Seal to the U.S. dollar.
So if you look at the front of the dollar, there's a seal. And that has remained that way since 1933.
Transforming it into an occult talisman. The same year, he signed a gold confiscation order and took the U.S. off the gold standard. At
this talisman, for both Roman times and American times, it's interesting because it is uniquely tied to the removal of valuable metal to your currency.
Press conference on March 8th, 1933, he joked, "As long as nobody asks me whether we are off the gold standard, that's all right, because nobody knows what the gold standard really is."
Oh, that's the good old days before internet.
David Icke wrote.
That's when people say, I wish we could go back to the good old days where, like Walter Cronkite and those guys had honor and all that stuff. They didn't have honor. Tom Brokaw didn't have honor. Peter Jennings didn't have honor. Like, these guys knew shady stuff was going on in D.C. and then reported the fluff pieces or the pieces that got the politicians of their buddies kicked out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they were still past the memos, the talking points. They were, they're just still sock puppets like they are today.
Where was the press when we went off the gold standard?
Yeah.
Where was that?
The 33rd degree Freemason and Black nobility president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, had this symbol printed on the dollar bill.
All right, there we go. There it is. There's our beautiful symbol right here. Now, a couple things right here. This eye, the eye, the Illuminati eye, the eye of providence is how it's described here. And then guess how many rows of bricks there are that build this pyramid?
22.
13 rows. And then in Latin at the base, it's written in Roman letters 1776. And then we'll go into this Latin saying above the eye of providence and below it.
From 1933. It was a symbol
1933, also a magic number for In the Morning fans out there.
Of secret societies in Europe, long before anyone heard of the United States, and it is awash with Freemasonic and secret society symbolism going back to the ancient world. Notice the symbology and numerology used on the dollar bill. The most obvious symbol is the Illuminati pyramid, with the hovering, all-seeing eye in the capstone. Opposite this is the All-American Eagle, with a downturned U.S. flag affront its chest. These and many other symbols on the dollar come...
Again, everything in Latin.
Yeah.
Eagles holding a ribbon in Latin. Each talon. This talon is holding 13... an olive branch, which signifies peace.
Yeah.
Which has 13 leaves, and if you zoom in, 13 berries on it, or olives, I guess. And then in its other talon is 13 arrows.
Interesting.
From the ancient stellar, solar, and lunar cults. Michael Tessarian wrote, "The pyramid..."
If you draw a pentagram using the Eye of Horus as the top of your star, you will spell out Mason. As you can see.
Damn.
Doom, 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 doom. Mason.
It is for the stellar cult, as are the various stars that appear on the bill. The golden eagle is for the solar cult. The eagle is the symbol of America because it signifies the constellation in Scorpio called Achaea.
Now, we are not the only empire to use an eagle as our symbol for our national bird. The Romans used it, the Nazis used it, the Russians used it. the Babylonians.
Oh, great! What do they all have in common? Big downfalls. Shit in the bed and collapsing. Once was great and powerful. Now is. This is awesome. This is.
I feel like there is a dark magic tie-in with the American $1 bill that signifies power being taken from the gold standard to something else.
Scorpio is the sign of power, money, and wealth, as well as secret knowledge. The US elections are held right in the middle of Scorpio, and the birthday of America is in the Scorpionic decanate of Cancer. The color green also relates to the solar cult.
Now, all of this stuff here, we'll go full screen here so everyone can see it here. This goes into there's 13 layers of bricks. There's the illuminated eye, breast, architect Lucifer, secular new order. So this Italian saying up here is congratulations on the success of our, and then underneath, secular new order. That's what that seal is. It's a high five to themselves.
Yeah, 100%. No wonder Taylor Swift's favorite number is 13. Oh, it all makes sense.
Interesting. Because we're going to go into the number 13. Interesting fact about the Federal Reserve, people. There are 13 branches, or there's 12 branches, and then the central branch, which makes 13. All right. This number 13 keeps popping up. Now, of course, there were 13 colonies in the United States of America. Before anyone yells that at me in the comments, and I understand that, but who decided that there would be 13 colonies? Like, who decided to cut West Virginia off to make 13? You understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
Like, was it designed to be 13? Hidden. There's a little clip here. The hidden meaning of the number 13, and just because it keeps popping up, and numerology, like I get, like it's numbers, right? And people can play with numbers all they want, but these secret societies believe in the power of numbers. This goes back thousands of years. And this
represents.
This one comes like from Ethiopia as well here.
The occult number of hidden knowledge. It is the 12 plus 1.
12 plus 1. Remember how we talked about there was always 12 disciples? There's 15 other stories of that are similar to that of Christ, and all of them had 12 followers plus 1.
Yep.
It is the table, the round table of King Arthur and his knight.
King Arthur had 12 knights that sat at his table. And he just carried on through history. These stories, these numbers hidden within these stories.
Do all numbers have meaning in Pack a Punch?
There is a 2-hour video by Randall Carlson that goes all into the numbers, all into just the numbers of the pyramids. You can take the base of the pyramid and times it by 42,300, and it's the exact equator of the Earth as measured by satellite.
Shit. Well, I just want to know what, my favorite number is 7. I just want to know if what it packs. If it's anything cool like this 13.
7 is a holy number. Don't let that go to your head. Damn it. I shouldn't have told you that. 37 people watching the live stream today. Welcome to all of the new listeners. Go to our Twitter, X. Give us a follow. Follow us on YouTube.
Share it.
We're trying to get to 200 followers on YouTube. So we're stuck at 193. for the past week. So we appreciate that. All right, back to number 13.
And the 12 disciples and the Christ. So it is the 12 powers and yourself is the meaning of 13. So gouge that little niche out there so you don't have to suffer from that phobia. When a black cat crosses your path, that is not bad luck. Mystically, it means you're about to have a spiritual experience.
Oh, shit.
So we're pulling some cover off some of this myth because we had bought into superstition. Almost full baggage. We got a whole bag of stuff, you know. Man, don't be brushing my feet with that broom.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But number 13, powerful number in the numerology world. So
Number 13, which appears frequently on the dollar bill, stands for the lunar cult. There are 13 months in the lunar year. America originally had 13 states. London is made up of 28 boroughs, this being the number of lunar mansions. 13 is also a stellar cult numeral, much used by the Israelites and other Semitic tribes and nations. Then there are the watermarks, or moon letters, for the lunar cults. The double-headed eagle symbol, which came from Babylon and survived through the Scottish Rite of Freemasonry, has been today adopted by America, Mexico, Israel, Germany, France, Chile, Italy, Honduras, and many others. David Icke wrote, "The eagle is a widely used brotherhood symbol, and it can be found on the coats of arms of many countries, including Egypt, Libya, and Iraq. It was a major symbol for Germany, and it appears in the designs of pulpits and lecterns used by the Christian Church. Seals like the one used on the Great Seal of the United States can be traced back to at least 4000 BC in Egypt, Babylon, Assyria, and India. The word money comes from the lunar cults. Early words for the moon were mon and min, giving us mani, printed at a mint. We have a worldwide monarchy that controls the world's money supply. We have finance ministers, prime ministers, and their ministries being controlled by occult elites and societies. Monks perform monthly ceremonies in monasteries. It is interesting to note that the plant mint is green, our money, printed at the mint, is green, and the Isis moon goddess Statue of Liberty is also green. Someone who is ignorant is green. Moon lovers are lunatics. From the French, they are monsters. You can see how the elite esoterically worship the moon, continuing the lunar cult, while exoterically condemning and marginalizing it. Jordan Maxwell wrote, "You will see beneath the pyramid 1776 spelled out in Roman numerals, plus the words Annuit Coeptus, and is translated as Annuit, our enterprise. Coeptus is translated to mean crowned with success, or is crowned with success. Therefore, Annuit Coeptus is our enterprise, which is now a success. Then, in order to find out what enterprise was a success, read on the $1 bill at the bottom of the pyramid, Novos Ordo Seclorum, which translates as the new order of the world."
You know whose thoughts? You know whose thoughts I'd like to get? Neil deGrasse Tyson. I bet he's got some good insight on 13 and the moon and the stars. He just feels like he's that type of speed, you know.
I cannot stand Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think he's an idiot. Which I don't know why you would bring him up in a moment like this.
He seems like that type of guy.
These are all coincidences, right? Like, the number 13, moon cycles, all this stuff about, I mean, these are well thought out symbols. And people used to call, I mean, I don't know if you remember listening to Coast AM in the morning, but they would always be
Coast to Coast.
I love Coast to Coast. George Norrie, Art Bell back in the day, and I remember people calling in, complaining about money and and how they were trying to create a new world order, and everyone thought they were crazy. And it says it right on the dollar bill.
Yeah.
And think about it. If the money is not backed by gold, what gives the money value?
It doesn't. That's why Rome collapsed, because they realized that the fucking piece of coin they were handing out was dog shit. And then
But
they gathered and spread word, and then you attack.
But people gave it value until it finally collapsed. It wasn't just like, hey, we're going to devalue the currency, and people were like, oh, yeah, it immediately descended. And, there's at least
Because
6,
they
7
needed
emperors.
it. They still needed it. Like, there were, like, even though it was backed by nothing, they still needed it to live and function. But there were some people that didn't need it and were just waiting and waiting because they had other means. And then when the time was right, they knew that they couldn't pay an army, they couldn't pay their tabs and bills. So when it came to, they knew that the fight was going to be easy, because there was going to be a lot of disgruntled people, because their paychecks, in a sense, were empty. So attack while it's hot.
I agree. I agree with you. You create people that need it. Andrew Tate's got a thing he said about it. I'll pull it up here.
Money. If the people in charge of the world can print unlimited amounts of said thing, and you'll give up your life for certain amounts of said thing, then they own you. They control you. Oh, you need $100 to do this. Print. Off you go, slave. It doesn't matter. It's not real. So who cares? So the entire world's a slavery system to some degree. Maybe you can make enough of those dollars and buy your freedom, as I have, right? But in general, it's a slave system. And anyone who's out here who still believes, because it seems to be there are some people who still believe in, like, saving up and save my money, and if I'm really diligent and I get a mortgage, and in 28 years I might own the property. Man, it's a trap. All of it is a trap.
First of all, I don't know how he thinks he's above it. Like he's escaped of it because he has more money than anyone else. Like that's
how they all think. The more money, even though it's nothing. I mean, he is right though. It gets you a little break. It's the heat comes off just a little bit when you go above.
Well, the power of symbology, I think, is really important, because it's a form of mind control using these symbols. When you see the Great American Seal on it, and you see it's backed by the United States government, that gives you this false sense of security that your money is worth making.
Yeah.
If honestly, May, if we both believed that we could just sit there and buy gold and live off of paying stuff and grams of gold, we know that'd be impossible, because everyone else still believes in this money, because we see the symbol on there that it's backed by the American government, and in our minds, that's going to be around forever.
Yeah.
They
have it where we're so dependent on, like you said, and you have to, you have to work for the slave note, in a sense. Because if you could get gold and silver and barter and trade like the good old days, and but nothing exists like that. They don't want that to exist. They want you to break your back, souls, and mind for this dollar that they know is fucking horse shit. But they want you to be fine with that.
I don't want people to give up hope. There's a beautiful thing going on in the libertarian Twitter sphere that I have just caught on, thanks to I think it's like Eskimo Libertarian is nonstop tweeting about this. But it's the silver squeeze. Have you heard about this, Chris?
No.
It's okay. So all the libertarians on Twitter, you remember what they did with GameStop?
Oh yeah. Bobby in my house in Colorado.
So that group of people have all gotten together again, and they have decided to do the exact same thing, but with silver.
Nice.
And so they are buying up, actual. Alex Jones talks about it. I'll just play Alex.
Scares the system for a much bigger reason. It is a relatively small stock, and it's already caused tens of billions of dollars of loss by these hedge funds that were planning to bankrupt it. If the people on Reddit and on Facebook and across the world ever realize what's happening with silver, and they are realizing it, it's game over for the globalists. They are trading hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. Usually it's about 200 times the amount of paper silver that there actually is real silver in the world, and they use that to manipulate the price and hold it down anytime it starts going up, because then they can dump limited amounts of their paper silver, and it creates the illusion that silver actually doesn't have value, when really silver is hundreds of times more valued than what it really is. You understand? It's a real, tangible commodity that's used in construction, that's used in electronics, that's used in microchips. It's been valued for over 6,000 years. Again, silver is the #1 target to bring down these criminals and to expose the fact that the whole system's a fraud, because they are leveraging 100, 200, 300, sometimes 400 or 500 times more silver paper in the market to suppress the value of silver, to basically short it, and then make billions and billions of dollars every month doing it. So if that gets exposed, that they're engaged in basically fractional reserve banking manipulation of silver, it's game over. This is the Achilles heel. It's the soft underbelly.
It would crash JP Morgan. So, silver squeeze. That's our announcement here at Phantom Facts. Go out and buy silver. Now they're saying if you do this enough, it'll crash the military-industrial complex in the United States as we know it, because they need silver. So the more silver we buy, the better it is. And it's
that was the only
up.
time I could ever really get silver, is buy it on the stock market. Buy the paper digital version of silver, like same with gold. Like my portfolio, before I had to sell everything, it was a lot of silver, little gold, a lot of GameStop, it was. But
Go
now,
out
damn,
and buy silver. Go out and buy silver. It's a silver. If they can do what they did with GameStop, the silver, it's all over Twitter. You'll see it now. Hashtag silver squeeze. This is it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because there was threats of this that Nixon discussed, or no, Lyndon B. Johnson said he would never allow a rush on metals to happen. But I don't think people are allowed to have their gold back until the 70s, weren't they?
I don't know.
It'd be, I can't remember when, because FDR took all their gold, remember?
Yep.
During World War II effort, I guess, supposedly. All this other stuff was going on. Anyway. That's
so buy the stock market silver and actual silver.
Yeah, actual silver. Get actual silver. There's plenty of places you can go and buy to get actual silver. So go silver happy. Build up this silver supply. It's already shot up to, I think it was like $30 the last time I checked. I can't remember. It was around there. All right, everybody. I think it's time, after we talk about the talismans, American dollar, I think it's time for our Pitbull Super. I think. Little Pitbull Super.
Pitbull Super. You want to go hard like a dog? You want to go hard like a dog, Big Daddy? Not just any dog. Hard like a pit bull. Oh, yeah. Then you need Pitbull Super. Go get yourself some Pitbull Super.
Warning. Not to be used in hotel orgies with your friends. Side effects may include splitting penis or exploding penis, resembling a shotgun blast.
Pitbull Super, you stud. Try it now.
That's our Pitbull Super candidate of the week. Now we got honorable mention that I wanted to throw out there first. Honorable mention. He does not make our finalists. But I mean, he definitely deserved. This was on a bus, I believe, in Chicago.
sign that says no hammocks.
We've got a whole.
Where's the no hammock sign?
We got a whole list of things.
No. I can see you. You can't see me.
If you don't come out of that,
I'm not here.
Call the police. No.
No.
Oh my god.
No.
Oh my god.
You can't stop me.
Well, oh my god.
I won't be stopped. I said I won't be stopped. You see that?
Oh my god.
Get out of there, man. Yeah? I'm like an anaconda.
I like how he says, like, I'm like an anaconda. It's better than that whole bus getting shot up if it's in Chicago. I mean, it's just a simple dude in a hammock.
And he does have a point. Where is the no hammock sign?
True.
Like, that's fair. I feel like that's fair. However, he did not get our pit bull super.
He's not taking up any seats either. Like,
I agree.
He's
I
saving
mean,
space.
I agree, and it's probably safer if there is a wreck. He's completely suspended the entire time. He's probably the safest person on that bus.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a good exit strategy. We just start a hammock bus.
Yeah,
where like you can just like chill in a hammock from city to city.
Just cocoon up.
Just maybe I'm wrong, but I thought we had an even better candidate for Pitbull Super of the Week. Now, as you know, the average age of the soldier in Ukraine is 42. He's 42 years old. Now, I'm no military genius, but that tells me that a lot of people dead. A lot of people dead. Russia, which we haven't heard about, is on some crazy offensive right now and just plowing through front lines, like decimating the front lines of Ukraine. And Zelensky is playing it off like, nah, we're just waiting for the perfect time to counterattack. And for when we get bullets and when we get soldiers, and hopefully when NATO accepts us as a country, right? Because that's happening.
And another $82 billion from America.
Yes. Which is not going to happen. And so our Secretary of State, who I feel is our acting president, goes over to Ukraine. And he's going to break the tough news that we really can't afford this war anymore. But he wants to build morale. So he stops by at a local bar in Kyiv. And yeah, does he give a rousing speech? No, he goes up on stage. In case you don't know, Anthony Blinken, our Secretary of State, is in a Kiev bar in Ukraine. He's the guy up in front with the red guitar.
Just strumming. Just
had it shipped with him. On his flight to Ukraine. And the bar advertised as a special guest coming, so everyone thought it was going to be an actual singer. No, it's our Secretary of State saying, keep on rocking in a free world.
What a clown show.
Yeah, everybody. There's only been a couple 100,000 people dead. No hope for Ukraine right now. If anyone thinks that Ukraine is going to win this war, you do not. You deserve to be on a different show. You need to be watching CNN. Or
keep thinking sending all our money to Ukraine
yes,
is a good idea.
This is what it gets us. It's their secretary. And if you were Ukrainian, I'm just going to throw this out here, right? Because I feel for the Ukrainians, the people there. They're not asking for this war either. They're not asking for their boys to die on the front line. Their kids, generations of Ukrainians are gone. And your savior, the Secretary of State, comes to tell you that we barely got a funding bill passed last time. Not going to happen again. But don't worry, because What a shitty song too.
On his
Like,
$5,000, $10,000 guitar that he shipped over.
I mean, that definitely wins Pitbull Super, don't you think? Over the Hammock guy, right?
Yeah.
It beats the Hammock guy. Yeah. Okay.
They're all wanting serious help, and they just get a shitty fucking karaoke song.
I came here for relief, and all I got was this crappy karaoke cover. Sorry, Ukraine. Apologize about that. We should have never overthrown your government in the first place. So just know that normal Americans feel sort of bad about it. Also can't afford it.
Can't afford it,
man.
Sorry. Out of the budget.
Yeah, it's no longer gonna happen. All right. I think it's time for a little more.
Yeah. Hey everyone, you can sing along too. It's Moloch News. Moloch News. He's out there to eat kids and Jews. It's Moloch. Moloch News. It's an update, everybody.
Hopefully we'll land on Uranus. Nice
What?
tight fit.
Jesus. Moloch News, everybody. It's time for our favorite god to demand his child sacrifice. But not without a challenge from Nancy Schaefer. Now, if you watch the Spike Cohen interview, I encourage you to watch it. It's like an hour and 40 minutes long. I get it. But the second half of that show, we talk about youarethepower.net is currently fighting 4 cases with where the children were removed from the homes and they shouldn't have been. And this is what we're discovering here at Phantom Facts is a problem that goes into 14 to 15 million children in the United States. And I felt like this was a relatively new discover. And I found a woman, a state senator from Georgia named Nancy Schaefer. And she was the one to break this open in the early 2000 or late 2000s, like 2008, 2009. This is her talking about it a little bit.
And in nearly every state, I am convinced there is no accountability in child protective services. I have come to several conclusions. 2 or 3 are, 1, that poor parents, not always, but oftentimes, are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney and fight the system. That caseworkers and social workers are very often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence. They fabricate evidence, and they seek to terminate parental rights unnecessarily. That the separation of families and the snatching of children is growing as the business grows because state and local governments have grown accustomed to having these taxpayer dollars to balance their ever-growing budgets. That the bureaucracy is huge. Look at who is getting paid. State employees, attorneys, court investigators, guardian ad litems, court personnel and judges. There are psychologists, therapists, psychiatrists, counselors, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on. All are looking to the children in state custody to provide job security.
If you have not heard of this, this is this is how you know we're in a totalitarian government.
Yeah.
It is kept secret and hushed, the amount of children removed from homes. And Nancy Schaefer, a state senator from Georgia, through years of investigation, discovered why all of a sudden in the 1990s onward, this shot up. And if you want to go detailed conversation, you can definitely go watch the Spike Cohen interview. play a little more of this.
That the Adoption and the Safe Families Act, set in motion first in 1974 by Walter Mondale and later in 1997 by President Bill Clinton, offered cash.
Isn't it interesting? 1997 under old William Clinton, who definitely loved Epstein Island. So I'm sure his buddies were thrilled.
Bonuses to the states for every child they adopted out of foster care. In order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services would need more children. They must have merchandise that sells, and they must have plenty so the buyer can choose.
Do you remember we talked
Preach
about
on, Nancy.
Do you remember we talked about the Cannibal Island in Russia?
Yeah.
And what the era was like during Soviet time, where Stalin had a set limit each month of deserters that should be brought in for questioning based on, per capita of your city. And if the police force couldn't bring in the supposed number, whatever percentage it was, then the police officers would go missing. And so this turned out to be that if you walk to the grocery, there's stories of people that walked to the grocery store, didn't have their papers on them, and never saw their families again. There's people that went out of their buildings to smoke a cigarette and were whisked away, never to see their spouse again. There's a guy they found in 1992 that 40 years ago had been taken from his family and 2 kids and put in a farm in the middle of Russia and was dying and had no clue what happened to him. Just became a farmer for the last 40 years on a community farm. There was, and they would just disappear. Now, ask yourself, what is the difference? Would you believe that there is almost 15 million children being removed by the United States government through the state government?
I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, that's what Spike said too. He's like, I'd get over it, but it's shocking. I don't think, people like us, we're our eyes are open to this, but I think more eyes need to be open to it. And thankfully, Nancy Schaefer.
Some counties often offer $4,000 to $6,000 bonus for each child adopted out to strangers, and an additional $2,000 for a special needs child. Employees work to keep the federal dollars flowing. But that is only the beginning figure in the formula.
Now, thankfully, Nancy Schaefer has decided to do a documentary really going into in depth of the child trafficking that was being produced because of all these removals. All of the horrible, obviously, I think everyone can agree there are situations where children need to be protected from their parents. But
every time somebody does a damn documentary, they end up dying.
That is true.
Was it Anne Heche? Wasn't she working on a documentary about child trafficking, sex trafficking?
Wasn't she still alive when they hauled her out?
Yeah. Remember, she gets up off the gurney? No, you get back down.
Thankfully, Nancy, she's 73. She's going to, she's got strong connections. She's been in politics for decades. She's gotten to the bottom of this, and she's got the support to, make a video on it. We got this news report here.
GBI investigators are at the Northeast Georgia home of former state senator Nancy Schaefer. She and her husband were found dead there earlier today. Fox 5's George Franco joins us live from Harrison County with the story. George.
Deidre, I'm in the town of...
Any guesses to how Nancy and her husband died? Any guesses to how Nancy and her husband died?
Shot in the back of the head by apparent suicide.
Turnerville, about 5 miles north of Clarksville in Habersham County. And just down the road there is the crime scene where the GBI and Habersham County Sheriff deputies are investigating the apparent murder-suicide of former state senator Nancy Schaefer and her husband Bruce. The GBI says they were called to the home of the Schaefers at the Orchard Private Golf Community just after 6 tonight. We're told family members found Nancy and Bruce Schaefer dead in their home. Investigators are
shot through the chest after he supposedly killed Nancy. Shot himself through the chest. In true.
Motherfucker, man. Like, that's a game you don't speak on. I knew she was spitting bars, and damn. That should tell you right there. Open your fucking eyes. Be aware. She was onto it. She knew. She was heavily in politics, into the fucking weeds of it, thinking she might have some stroke to be protected. And she ends up fucking going out with her husband.
2010 that happened. That happened in 2010, March 26, 2010. And there is, I mean, there's like a whole list of things, of reasons why it didn't make sense for him to commit a murder-suicide. They had 5 kids. They had like a crap ton of grandkids. He was retired. Supposedly the rumor was they were in a bad financial spot. But they said that didn't make any sense because all their kids were well off. So, I mean, but ruled murder-suicide. But I mean, hey, I know one person that's happy.
Yeah, everyone, you can sing along too. It's Moloch News, Moloch News. He's out there to eat kids and Jews. It's Moloch.
Moloch News, everybody.
Don't live in Arkansas.
She was
Stay
in
the
Georgia.
fuck at her. Well, I know, but I thought they said that took place in Arkansas.
You know, how about this? How about you just get your kids out of a system where you don't know who their teachers are. You homeschool them. You don't have to homeschool them the whole time. I was listening to No Agenda, the greatest podcast in the universe, and John C. Dvorak brought up this one good point. He said, you know, have them go through kindergarten, you know, and then get them to be convinced that they don't want to go to school around first grade. Pull them out, and then teach them for 5-6 years. And then once they get their friends and stuff, they'll want to go back. And then they can go back to school. But they already will have a firm foundation of what's real. And then, you know, I thought it was a beautiful idea. Because, you know, if you homeschool them too long, they still have to make a social network with people in their community.
They've done a better job nowadays of networking it and whatnot. Like my 11-year-old, she's going to be homeschooled through her middle school years, 6th, 7th, and 8th. So, you know, we'll see how that plays out.
Well, and he said it was cool too, because like out in San Francisco, there's all sorts of homeschooling groups, and like there's the Christians, and then there's the secular, and then there's the Muslim. And he said like the Muslims were all big into field trips. So like take your kids with a Muslim group to go on a field trip, and they'll be like petting goats and all that. You know, it's just, and it's good. You know, you get to introduce them to culture on your terms instead of them viewing other cultures as victims or, you know, as stereotypes. You know, you can really establish a firm foundation. I thought it was a beautiful idea.
Well, now too, homeschooled kids can partake in sports. You know, before you couldn't. Like if you were homeschooled, you missed out on all that. But now you can, I don't know if it's everywhere, but I know most states allow kids, if you're homeschooled, you can play football, baseball, basketball. You play all the sports through the local school there, and it's allowed. So
I think it's a great idea. Like, you know, and obviously it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work
too. It can be expensive, but
can be. But like, you know, talk to other people who, you know, are successful in that endeavor. And I mean, we're in the golden age of information. You know, soon it will all be gone. So take advantage of those things now, because we have a library wherever we go.
mentorship is big, and I think a lot of people have
Yes.
forgotten that. It's okay to have a mentor and a shoulder or someone to lean on and yada yada. Like you're not weak. Like look into hell. We moved out here in the country. I never gardened a fucking day in my life. I met my neighbor. He was a city guy from Nashville. He's a fucking green thumb mastery now, and so I pick his brain. We throw ideas back and forth. You find people you lean on that you want to get into and absorb it and make it fit what you want to do, and you'll be successful.
And
It
you'll
may
have
take
support.
work and
And you'll
struggle,
have
but
support. We are
yeah.
meant to work as a community. Like
Yes.
if we become a community, we shut down a lot of the the bad that's going on.
Mhm.
Well, good preach there, May. I think it's time for Is It Weird? Our favorite segment of the show where we ask you which story is the weirdest. I present two stories to you. It's time now for Is It
That's weird.
Is It Weird? Not brought to you by Cardi B, but I think she would be asking the exact same question for sure. This is in LA, taking care of our drug addicts on the street. Now, I want to, is it weird?
So I don't know if I guess they trying to teach you how to be safe with sniffing dope.
So there's a little gift packet you can pick up in great state of California.
Or how the hell is they teaching you how to be safe with sniffing dope when it's all self-destruction, mental destruction? And they give out, now what the hell is going on here?
I sure hope the people doing this can read, because then it would seem so.
No, y'all tell me. They give out numerous straws. They give out straws. This for you to put your dope on. Hold on.
They give you a credit card.
Yeah, to chop it up and clean surface.
It gets better.
For you to put your dope on. The razor to chop it up. They give you a razor to chop the shit up.
They give you a razor. We're giving homeless people weapons.
Yes. Give them an eighth. Please dump out an eighth.
Try our stuff first. It's the good. It's a good. It's a good. Oh, and let's say you beckon back to the Scarface days of the 80s when you did your coke. Well, they got you covered there too.
I feel like you the plug. They get you a scooper for the little old school dope sniffers that used to do it on the hand with the wow.
Little bump spoon.
Don't throw out your pinkies anymore. Use our dump spoon.
Use your dump spoon. Oh my lord.
Hood Habit TV, Baltimore City.
Dude, that was just like.
Might as well stop locking us up in Sundays, you know?
What was it? Portland that was giving out needles in hotel rooms to fucking go use, just so you didn't do it on the streets.
I think it's nice. If anyone's in the California area, can you please mail me this, just for I can archive it. This would be a great archive item. The Descent into Madness, cocaine spoons. So there's candidate number one, May, of Is It Weird?
But if you get pulled over with that stuff, can you be like, no, hey, y'all gave me this. This ain't me. Y'all, the government gave me a packet of my starter kit. You know how you can have like a starter kit, a sourdough, and everything else? Well, these motherfuckers got a starter kit of, doping 101. That's genius. Why didn't we think of that? We could be rich, putting little packets together, handing them out in the streets.
We just care. I wonder how much the pay is for that. It's got to be pretty decent. They, maybe $5 a bag, something like that.
Something.
Do they get to use plastic straws?
That's
that
what it
looked like a
looked
plastic straw.
Yeah, it looked like
how come, what?
Multicolor plastic straws. Fuck them turtles, huh? Fuck them turtles.
Okay. Well, I think it's round two for I mean, I think we can all
That's
agree.
suspicious. That's weird.
Okay, so we can all agree with Cardi B there. Our next subject. Now, this was a interview done in the late 80s. And I think it counts, especially with the big news of the scheduled debate June 27th.
Disguise.
What all did that entail?
The office I worked in was like the Q in James Bond. We were the Q for the CIA and
I know I said late 80s. It's not late 80s.
the intelligence community. So there were different parts of it. Whatever you needed, if you needed a bug, if you needed secret writing or a microdot or a concealment device or whatever you needed, you had to come to us and we'll put something together for you.
What's the most memorable moment from being in disguise for you?
There were a number of them, but the one that has to stand out, I went to the White
I'm sure her husband enjoyed this. Hey, you want to try the Pam Anderson disguise?
Can you go dust that off the closet, please?
House. And I briefed George H.W. Bush, the
So this would have been late 80s, early 90s when she was doing this for the CIA.
president at the time, while I was wearing a full face mask. So we're sitting like this close together, and I'm telling him that I'm going to show him the best disguise that we have. And he's looking for a bag, like, where is it? I said, well, I'm wearing it, and I'm going to take it off. And I reached to start taking it off, and he said, stop. And he got up, and he walked, and he looked, and he looked at it. He didn't know it was a mask. He wasn't sure what I was wearing. He sat back down. He said, okay. So I took it off, and I was holding it up in the air so he could see it. My whole head. It had hair and a face and a neck.
So you could walk around as someone else?
Absolutely.
And that would be the disguise?
Absolutely. I was chief.
Is it weird? Is it weird? Now, before you answer that, May, before you go in to give in your final judgment of which story is the weirdest, I wanted to show a couple of clips of where we may see such masquery abounding.
A very conservative guy who was very, very.
Oh my gosh, that's a mask. Holy cow.
Do you see it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That could be anybody under there. Oh.
You know what I say? You know what I say to
That's
that?
suspicious.
Yeah.
Even that, look at that eye
Right.
socket. Look at the ear. I mean,
Yeah. All right. Well, you decide which is the weirdest: cocaine tools in L.A. or a mask so convincing that even the president of the United States, standing 3 feet away, could not tell.
it's tough because like the first one is not shocking, especially where it's coming from LA, Gavin Newsom, that whole fuck show of a state and what's going on. Number two, we all knew it was a thing. I mean, and now it's everyone's just openly talking about it like, oh yeah, we have this. We've been using it. Now we see it with the president that is commander in chief, like, and it's been documented that there is, multiple occasions of somebody in a mask pretending to be him.
I
So
got
we all
a
know
couple
he's
clips of body doubles if we want to just like compare a little bit, because that's sort of the thing going on X right now.
Fight inflation. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro.
This is just a week apart from each other, people. A week apart. He's going to flip-flop back and forth.
Cop. Bringing down gas prices is a big part of the job. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-democracy. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-American. And here's the good news. Gas prices have dropped every day this summer. That's more than 40 days in a row. Donald Trump lacked the courage to.
That's not the
That's
same
like
guy.
when when your favorite actor in a TV show like dies or gets kicked off, but they gotta still replace him, and they, he keeps the same name and everything, but yeah, that's what that reminds me of.
I mean, and if you're just listening to this on audio on Phantom Fact Society or podcast, I encourage you switch on over to YouTube and take a gander at it, because I don't.
The 1 minute 30 mark,
Yeah,
or 1 hour 30 mark.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't know what to. It's so obvious.
Yeah,
It's
that's
so
bad.
obvious.
That one is bad.
It's so bad. I mean, lighting? Are they going to say lighting? I don't know. I mean, I get the lighting's brighter, but it's just not the same guy. It's
Fucking
not the
eyes.
same guy. You know what I think of that?
That's suspicious.
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
what I
I'm
think.
gonna. Is it weird? Let's go. Let's go. To me personally, I've always number 2 has always been like I've always known.
We could throw a third one in if you want. I got a special third.
Do it. Do a special
All
third.
right.
Let's
All
see.
right. We'll do the special. We don't do this often, people. It's always usually just 2. But we got so many viewers on here tonight that I just feel like maybe one more. Maybe one more.
Vaccines are actually still government property.
Oh,
so the government still pays the vaccine. But wait a minute, you're onto something. Do you know there was a leaked letter from Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield? And a typical doctor could have, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 Blue Cross Blue Shield patients in their panel. If the doctor got to 70% of his population vaccinated with the COVID vaccine, you know what the bonus was to the doctor?
I'm scared to even hear.
About $250,000.
Oh my! Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So the question on the table is: was Blue Cross just giving a doctor $250,000, or were they paid through the government, through the Biden administration COVID Community Corps money? So I think what's happening is money is passing from the government to the insurance companies. The insurance companies are juicing the system and leveraging the system. Why would CVS and Walgreens be giving out vaccines? They have to be getting government money to do this. They're not going to waste their time doing this, right? So the government must be beyond this.
That's suspicious.
That is That is not surprising. That makes 100%. 100%.
I may have just tried to snuck in a dirty COVID clip.
Yeah.
All right. Is it weird? You can't debate this anymore.
Number 1.
Oh,
because 2 and 3 make so much sense in my head, and it's just not surprising. Number 1 is like they just none of them are weird. They're all just like ta-da, like.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't pick the perfect weird clips for you.
I'm just saying.
You're
like,
telling me a razor and a fake credit card and a plastic straw doesn't count as weird?
Yeah, it does. To me, it does. Out of the 3.
So I don't know if I guess they trying to teach you how to be safe with sniffing dope, or how the hell is they teaching you how to be safe with sniffing dope?
That's so nice of them. Safe sniffing dope. You know what? I think we need to cleanse our palate there.
I wish you would have said vote Democrat. I wish you would have pulled it all the way out and or like a sticker would have came out. A
little bind sticker that says I did that.
Yeah. Gavin Newsom's on the other side.
Yeah, whole new meaning. Time for a moment of Zen. Let's cleanse our palate like we like to do here at Phantom Fact Society.
And now, a moment of Zen with Adam Weideman.
We wanted to just calm everyone for a moment. There's been a lot of misinformation out there. A lot of horrible things on the news, and we want to provide just a little bit of joy, a little bit of Phantom Fact information that's positive. And this goes out to our Jewish community.
So the other day I went to a steakhouse for a friend's birthday, and she ordered a steak, and the waitress goes, "How do you want your cow cooked?" And I'm like, that's a weird way to order it, but whatever. So she asked my friend, how do you want your cow cooked? My friend says, I want it medium rare or something like that. And so then I wasn't in the mood for a steak. I wanted a hamburger. I'd been craving a hamburger. So I ordered.
Which we've all been there, right? We've all wanted a hamburger. Big hamburger.
You know, the cheeseburger. And she goes, how do you want your cow cooked? And I kind of like awkwardly look at my friend because I was like, I feel really embarrassed. Do I point out that it's not cow? Like, hamburger is a pig. Everyone knows ham comes from pig. So I joked back. I was like, well, I want my pig cooked well done. You're not supposed to eat pork like uncooked. Everybody knows that. That's why it's always been super weird to me that people will get like red in the middle on their burgers. And so she looks back at me and she goes, you mean your cow? And I'm like, I don't know how to have this conversation right now. Like, I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to educate you kindly. And I was like, sure, my cow. But it was so bizarre. I'm like, how do you not know? It's literally in the name. It's a hamburger.
God, fuck her parents. Holy shit. Someone has failed her down the road.
She's
now
a 10.
She's walking around like an idiot.
She's a 10, but she believes hamburger comes from a pig. Just, now you know.
No.
Think of all those people that have been avoiding hamburgers.
I saw that earlier
this whole
today, too.
time.
I was just like,
oh, you've already seen it?
yeah, I saw it earlier and I was like,
what
the fuck?
And now, a moment of zen.
Moment of zen.
Remember, if you order your hamburger, you got to get that pork well cooked.
All right, we've been talking about the collapse of the American government, the stealing of children, the dark magic in the dollar bill. I think it's time, May, for just a little bit of good.
God damn it! Who's at the front door? Who is it?
Well, hey, man. Why do you look so glum? It looks like you could use some good news. See? Don't you feel better now? It's the good news segment of the week. Brought to you by Rob Jackson's Sticky Green. Good news of the week.
Good news of the week. Brought to you by Rob Jackson. Out there with Artemis Kennels. I'm sure he's looking for a new batch coming through here within 6 months or so. So keep an eye out for him. I'll have him give us updates. She sired 3 males, so he's pretty happy right now. Did you hear about this debate at Oxford University between Nancy Pelosi and Winston Marshall?
No.
It is all about populism. And the whole thing is set up like a parliament, discussion where each side debates their view on it. And for some reason, our United States Senator Nancy Pelosi decides to fly to the UK to denounce populism. And I mean, like, when you hear the term populism, what are you thinking of, May?
Like population control? Like cutting down?
No. Populism is, I get your mind out of the conspiracy here for a minute. Take the tinfoil hat off. Populism is where you believe that whatever is best for your specific country is the best way to govern your country, right? So almost like an isolationist
down everyone's throat.
Yeah, isolationist type view. And Nancy Pelosi argued for 15 minutes of how populism is dangerous to democracy and how it can be. Yeah, exactly. And then on the other side of that argument was Winston. I forget his name here. Winston Marshall. And I thought this deserves to be a good news segment of the week because this is one of the most uplifting signs that the younger generation gets it. They get what we see. I'll play. It's 15 minutes long. I'm just going to play a couple clips of it. Thought you'd enjoy it.
And welcome to the Winston Marshall Show with me, Winston Marshall. For this episode, something slightly different. I recently spoke at the Oxford Union. I was in debate with Speaker Emerita, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi. The motion was, is populism a threat to democracy? Here is my Oxford Union speech.
This is a recent change. Not long ago, Barack Obama, while still president at the North America's Leaders Summit in June 2016, he took umbrage with the notion that Trump be called a populist. How could Trump be called a populist? He doesn't care about working people. If anything, Obama argued, he was the populist. If anything, Obama argued, Bernie was the populist. It was Bernie who'd spent 5 decades fighting for working people. But Trump. Something curious happens. If you watch Obama's speeches after that point, more and more recently, he uses the word populist interchangeably with strongman, with authoritarian. The word changes meaning. It becomes a negative, a pejorative, a slur. To me, populism is not a dirty word. Since the 2008 crash, and specifically the $1 trillion Wall Street bailout, we are in the populist age. And for good reason. The elites have failed. Let me address some common fallacies, some of which have been made tonight.
You guys can't see this, but you see this guy sitting in the front row. Right across from him is Nancy Pelosi. And so, like, he's, like, trying to, like, sneak looks over to see Nancy Pelosi's reaction to some of these statements. Yeah, and everyone is. Everyone's trying to sneak a peek, see how she's responding to this.
If the motion was that demagoguery was a threat to democracy, I would be on that side of the House. If the motion was that political violence was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. January 6th has been mentioned. A dark day for America indeed. And I'm sure Congresswoman Pelosi will agree that the entire month of June 2020, when the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon was under siege and under insurrection by radical progressives, those too were dark days for America. Yes?
There is no equivalence of it. So that, yes.
So you don't agree? And it's fine, you don't agree, that's fine.
But it is not like what happened on January 6th, which was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
So you don't agree? But you'll condemn those days. My point though is that all political movements are susceptible to violence and indeed insurrection. And if we were arguing that fascism was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. Indeed, the current populist age is a movement against fascism. I've got quite a lot to get through. Populism, as you know, is the politics of the ordinary people against an elite. Populism is not a threat to democracy. Populism is democracy. And why else have universal suffrage if not to keep elites in check? Ladies and gentlemen, given the success of Trump, and more recently Javier Milei taking a chainsaw to the state behemoth of Argentina's bureaucratic monster, you'd be mistaken for thinking this was a right-wing populist age. But that would be ignoring Occupy Wall Street. That would be ignoring Jeremy Corbyn's for the many, not the few. That would be ignoring Bernie against the billionaires, RFK Jr. against Big Pharma, and more recently, George Galloway against his better judgment.
And he goes on to talk about how you can see in the news agencies how they view actual democracy.
Or last week in Brussels, the National Conservative movement. I'll tell you what is a threat to democracy. It's Brussels, DC, Westminster, the mainstream media, big tech, big pharma, corporate collusion, and the Davos cronies. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off ordinary people as deplorable. The threat to democracy comes from those who smear working people as racists. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off working people as populists. And I'll say one last thing. This populist age can be brought to an end at the snap of a finger. All that needs to be done is for elites to start listening to, respecting, and, God forbid, working for ordinary people. Thank you.
If you get a chance, go on to Winston's page over there and give the whole thing a watch. When Nancy and everything, I'm not going to play Nancy Pelosi because she immediately says, I'm going to define what populism is, and it's this. And then this is the rest of my argument against this definition I have just given myself. So, you know, she can go kick sand for all I care. But I thought, man, it's 15 minutes long. It's a great argument towards towards the people. You know, that's what it comes down to. We are the many.
Yep.
I think people are slowly starting to see that we scare these people.
We matter.
And here's my thing. Everyone gets mad at the politicians, and rightfully so in some cases. Like, there's some politicians out there where you're just like, you know what you're doing is wrong, and yet you continue to do it. And I think that's a different tier of evil. But most of these politicians in America, and I'm sure around the world, they are hostages. And I think we need to start viewing these people in DC. They are hostages. We need to have a little compassion for the situation. And we need to get mad at the people who are holding them hostage. Because these corporations and these lobbyists, the big pharma, these large, weapon industries, the military complex, these are the people that are in power. They're the people in power, not the politicians. The politicians
just enjoyed the ride.
It's Stockholm syndrome. You know, to me,
very true.
Hey, you know what? You're right. This isn't so bad. These guys do care. I can align myself to them on this issue. FISA court, I suppose I could support getting behind that. As long as I can get maybe a little something, give me a little bone. I think that's what we're seeing here. These politicians are no longer in control. They're being directed by large corporations.
Mm-hmm.
These are the kings of the land. It's a corporatocracy. I don't know if that's a word.
Ooh, that's it.
I don't understand. I don't understand any other way. And Alex Jones came out with a video. Alex Jones has been talking about this for quite some time. And, he seems a little defeated right now. But I just, the thing with Alex Jones is that, he gets emotional when he goes through his stages. But
he didn't seem emotional earlier when he was in Vail or Montana in the beautiful fucking mountains.
Maybe that's it. He goes back to Texas and he just gets depressed. Has to live in the city.
He's like, goddamn, Joe Rogan brought me to Austin.
Say that again.
He's like, fucking Joe Rogan brought me to Austin and I fucking hate it here.
This is his public apology to everyone.
I mean that. I want to apologize. I didn't do more back when we probably could have stopped this. I want to apologize I wasn't more focused. I want to apologize I wasn't more dedicated. I want to apologize I wasn't more urgent. But I only say that to be honest with you. When I point a finger at you, there's 3 more back at me. You need to apologize to yourself. You need to apologize to your family. because we're not getting out of this now. I did everything I could to stop this. And now I've got to give you the bad news, and I got to give my family the bad news. I've given my wife the bad news that we're going to be chewed up by the New World Order now. Now, what matters is your relationship with God. What matters is that you prepare spiritually for this and physically. And the evidence is overwhelming. They'll be destroyed in the process. They will be defeated as well. They're Satan's pimps. Of course they will. It doesn't lessen the fact of how horrible this is. And I apologize for having to give you this bad news. But I don't think you even need me to tell you to you. So, good times are over. It's like that song from The Doors. It's all over.
Okay, all right. That's
I was gonna say, if I want to hear Alex Jones sing, I want to hear the mashup that we play.
we best. I should have that on call anytime.
Yeah.
Let's finish with a little positive note by RFK Jr. Talking about the same subject. Now a lot of people believe he's a psyop from the CIA, and he very may well be. But
man, he's gaining traction. He is.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Listen to his message.
And I'll leave you with 3 thoughts. One is that any power that government takes from the people, it will never return voluntarily. Number 2 rule, every power that government takes, it will ultimately abuse to the maximum extent possible. And number 3, nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. The only thing we can do is resist.
Phantom facts.
You know, it is interesting because, like, when Trump ran, it was, make America great again, better, lower tax, all this stuff. RFK over here, it's just like he runs on that, just tugging at your heartstrings, knowing that it's going to be a battle. Like it's that, white knight kind of it's just a different kind of hit you. How Trump hit you when he ran, where it was like, yeah, we're gonna fucking get back on here. He's hitting you more on the sentimental side of like, this is gonna be a bitch, but I believe we can do it. It's gonna hurt, but just believe. Like the Ted Lasso, believe. We just gotta smack it.
Yep.
It's
well, and we're getting to a point, May, where it's like, hey, make your circle. Make your circle, find your doctor, find where you're going to get food, find where you're going to get eggs, become as self-sufficient as possible. And even then, it's still a 50-50 shot because, when corporations feel threatened, and we start cutting some of these corporations down, they've been holding politicians hostage. You think they're going to give a fuck about us?
No.
They're going to hold our workers hostage. They're going to, it's going to be horrible. It's going to be horrible. And this is the fault of the generations before us, but on the other side of that, we have a chance to actually be the America that represents Americans. And I personally think, whether you're left, right, center, libertarian, whatever it is, if you go out and talk to your neighbor, they're pretty decent people.
Yeah.
And they have families they care about and love. And those are, and they're looking to make their lives better and not cause suffering to their neighbors. Most of these people are like that. Even the crazy cocaine spoons in LA, they have convinced the citizens there that they are doing something kind, something sweet that is needed for homeless people. That is how these bills get passed, is based off of emotion. So if we can change our emotion to helping, to actually helping people, I think there's a good chance. But you know what Spike would say?
If you don't subscribe to Phantom Facts Society, then don't talk to me or my son ever again.
Ever again.
Ever again. Don't ever talk to son. All right. All right, everybody. At 41, we're up to 43 at one point. Thank you, everyone, for giving us a follow and a like and a subscribe.
Yeah, tell a friend. Keep pushing it, baby. Keep pushing it.
Every Sunday at 8:30, you can join us, Phantom Facts, and all the goodness. But until then, I'll leave you with the kiffness.